I was pretty skeptical of it. I've used HubSpot a lot in the past, so I love their software. And I used HubSpot early on when they were just launching as a company, so I got to see them grow. So I was a little nervous to start working with Recruit because they're a smaller company. They're not to the same scale that HubSpot is, at least from what I've seen. But what I did see in them that I loved was, kind of mentioned this before, their drive, their tenacity to build things into their platform and software that don't exist because the customer needs it. So that's honestly what I've loved most about working with them is their tenacity to get things done, even if it doesn't exist yet. I'm a mixture of sales and operations. So obviously the sales side for me and using Recruit is primarily focused on how can I generate my clients or my nurses from lead to actively placed. So obviously that aspect of it, using the different cycles and stages for each client or each candidate, that's where I'm using it for sales. I use it a lot more, I would say, probably in the operations side, though. We're a small business just getting started. So getting those foundational pieces in place has been a huge part of what we're doing. And Recruit has been a big part of that. Just setting up, all right, how are we getting our flow of leads in? What are we doing with our leads? How are we getting them to an actively placed position? How are we keeping contacts or candidates engaged and not losing them in the process? So that's been a majority of what I've been doing over the past probably month working heavily in Recruit. Prior to that, we were a mix of a couple different CRMs. So, but since using Recruit, it's been primarily there. My boss just made the choice. He just kind of pulled the trigger on it. We needed to get a CRM running. HubSpot was what we were using, but for our scale and what we are doing, HubSpot wasn't really the best solution because HubSpot's primarily focused on marketing, not recruiting. Obviously, Recruit CRM is designed around the recruiting world. So I think that was a big push for it, but that I would say that was probably the only reason was simply the fact that it was a recruiting CRM platform. I kind of mentioned this before in talking to you. I was nervous going into it, but since then it's just gotten better. So I looked into a couple different ones, like Zoom Info. Trying to think of the other big ones, Jazz HR, a couple different softwares that were out there really just to get people into our system. Mostly, honestly, the Recruit CRM or the CRM features that we were really using were inside of HubSpot. And kind of like I mentioned before, they just weren't providing us the best way to get our nurses into our system and placed. I do think that they're still helpful. Like we do still use HubSpot because we paid for it, the annual membership, but it continues to be useful for marketing purposes. I do think that's one area where I see Recruit trying to grow is their marketing with email sequences and workflows. But it wasn't fitting our needs for growth purposes, like growing our nurses, keeping them on track. It's really just a marketing platform for us. Our rep, he has been incredibly helpful from the beginning. He's super quick to respond, even in like transitioning who was in charge of our account. It wasn't pulling teeth to get me as the primary owner on it. It was just a simple, hey, Tyler's taking over going forward. If you still need Jake, he's here. So as far as like working with him, getting onboarded, it's been a really smooth transition. Anybody looking into CRM softwares or any new software, especially for a small business, I think if you're a larger scale business, you got all the resources you probably already have or need. I think the biggest thing that I would suggest for people is really just making sure it fits the needs that you have, not trying to build your business around the content or product it is. I kind of mentioned this in an earlier question. One of the things that I love about Recruit is I often bring problems to them, asking, can this be done? And it can't yet. But they're very eager to get those things done. And they're constantly innovating and changing and trying to find new ways to raise the recruiting software. And that's what I look for in any partnership with any business. As an operations manager, I want companies that aren't just going to let me sign up and plug and play. If you've used Rocket Reach, very much that. Rocket Reach is like you sign up, you get your contacts, If you don't use them, they don't care. Recruit CRM is the complete opposite. Shashank, I probably get an email from him once a week with a new feature, new software that they're trying to integrate or something new and exciting on the horizon. So that would be the biggest thing. I would encourage anybody, if you're looking to partner with a company, it should be a company that is eager and excited, not that's stagnant and just going to provide you a product and move on.